Hello, and welcome to a new episode of XCast. Mystic Insights Unveiled. Theme: Alois Irlmaier, Part 2. The podcast that explores prophecies, visions, and future scenarios. My name is Lucas, and I'm your host for today. In this episode, we will delve into a very intriguing and controversial topic: the prophecies of Alois Irlmaier. Alois Irlmaier was a Bavarian well-builder who lived in the 20th century and claimed to foresee the future. He made numerous predictions about World War II, the post-war period, the reunification of Germany, as well as an impending Third World War, a three-day darkness, and the end of the world. His prophecies remain contentious to this day, viewed by many as serious warnings, but also as pure fantasies. To learn more about Alois Irlmaier and his prophecies, I have invited two guests who have delved deeply into this subject. On one hand, we have Michael, who is a great admirer of Irlmaier and believes his prophecies to be true. He operates a website where he analyzes Irlmaier's prophecies and links them to current events. On the other hand, we have Julia, who maintains a critical stance towards Irlmaier and considers his prophecies to be incorrect, or at least unreliable. She is a historian and has written a dissertation on the history of prophecy. I am very pleased to have both of you here, and thank you for your time.
Hello, Lucas. Hello, Julia. I'm glad to be here and to share my views on Irlmaier.
Hello, Lucas. Hello, Michael. I am also eager for this discussion and hope that we can have a rational exchange.
Thank you both. Before we delve into the discussion, I would like to briefly tell our listeners about Alois Irlmaier, so they get an overview of his life and prophecies. Alois Irlmaier was born in 1894 in Scharum, near Siegsdorf, in Chiemgau. He was a well-builder by profession and allegedly had clairvoyant abilities since childhood. For instance, he could find lost objects or diagnose illnesses. He became well known for his predictions about World War II, which he made partly years in advance. For instance, he predicted the outbreak of the war for 1939, the invasion of Poland, the Blitzkrieg against France, the attack on Pearl Harbor, the entry of the USA into the war, the bombing war against Germany, Hitler's suicide, the end of the war for 1945, and many other details. He was arrested and interrogated multiple times by the Nazis due to his predictions, but was always released. After the war, he made further predictions about the post-war period, such as the currency reform of 1948, the division of Germany into East and West, the founding of the Federal Republic of Germany, and the GDR, the Korean War from 1950 to 1953, the construction of the Berlin Wall in 1961, or the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. However, he also predicted a Third World War, which was supposed to begin after an unprecedented period of prosperity. He described various signs for this war, such as a revolution in Italy, an assassination of a high politician in the Balkans, a Middle East war, a Russian attack on Europe and America, a three-day darkness with no electric light, and finally, the end of the world due to a comet impact or a natural catastrophe. Alois Irlmaier passed away in 1959 from a heart attack. He left no written records of his prophecies, only oral traditions that were collected and published by various authors. The most well-known books about Irlmaier are Der Seher von Freilassing by Konrad Adelmeyer from 1961 and Alois Irlmaier, Ein Mann sagt, was sieht by Stefan Berndt from 2012. These books contain most of the prophecies of Irlmaier that we know today. So that was a brief overview of Alois Irlmaier and his prophecies. I would now like to discuss with both of you how you evaluate these prophecies and whether you believe they will come true or not. I would like to start with Michael, who is a supporter of Irlmaier. Michael, why do you believe in Irlmaier's prophecies, and what fascinates you about him?
Thank you, Lucas, for this question. I believe in Irlmaier's prophecies because I think he was a genuine seer who had a special gift to see the future. He predicted so many things correctly that he could not have known by chance. For example, he described the Second World War in all its details before it had even begun. He also foresaw many events of the post-war period that happened exactly as he said. He even mentioned things that have only happened in our time or are yet to happen. For example, he said that the climate would change and it would get warmer. We can clearly see that today. He also said that a large number of foreigners would come to the country and that a revolution would occur. We are seeing this happening in Europe and especially in Germany. He also said there would be a Middle East war and that Russia would attack Europe. These are all things that are very realistic and could happen anytime. I am fascinated by Irlmaier because he was a simple man who had no interest in fame or money. He was a humble well-builder who used his gift for the good of the people. He helped many people by giving them advice or telling them about their future. But he also warned us about the dangers that lie ahead. He told us what we should do to protect or save ourselves. He also gave us hope that things would get better after the Great War, and that there would be a new time of peace and faith.
Thank you, Michael, for your answer. You've provided us with your reasons for believing in Irlmaier and what fascinates you about him. I would now like to ask Julia, who is a critic of Irlmaier. Julia, why do you not believe in Irlmaier's prophecies, and what troubles you about him?
Thank you, Lucas, for this question. I do not believe in Irlmaier's prophecies because I think he was not a genuine seer, but rather a charlatan or a madman. He did not have genuine visions. Instead, he expressed his own imagination or fears. He made many false predictions or formulated them so vaguely that they could apply to anything. For example, he did not truly predict World War II, but rather interpreted it after the fact. Many of the details he claimed to foresee were taken from other sources or invented. For instance, he did not actually predict the attack on Pearl Harbor, but simply quoted an old Nostradamus prophecy, which he interpreted in his own way. He also did not truly predict many events of the post-war period, but learned about them from the newspaper or the radio, and then portrayed them as if he had known for a long time. He also said many things that never happened or that occurred very differently than he claimed. For example, he said that there would be no peace after World War II, only an armistice. This is untrue because there was a peace treaty between Germany and the Allies in 1990. He also said that after the Third World War, there would be a 3-day darkness with no electric light. This is also untrue because there is no scientific explanation for how that could happen. He also said that after the end of the world, there would be a new time of peace and faith. This is also untrue because when the world ends, there is nothing more. I am troubled by Irlmaier because he was a dangerous man who instilled fear and terror in people. He was not a humble well-builder, but a fanatic prophet who believed his visions to be absolute truth. He harmed many people by giving them false hopes or false warnings or by ruining their future. However, he also manipulated and influenced people by telling them what to do or not do. He did not help us. He made us dependent on his prophecies.
Thank you, Julia, for your answer. You've given us your reasons for not believing in Irlmaier and what troubles you about him. I can see that you both have very different opinions about Irlmaier, and it's not easy for you to come to an agreement. I would now like to try to bridge the gap between you and ask you both some questions that might provoke further thought. I would like to start with Michael. Michael, you mentioned that you believe in Irlmaier because he got many things right. But how do you explain the things he got wrong or that have not yet come to pass? Do you truly believe that there will be a third world war and that we will all perish? Are you not afraid of that? And how do you live your life in the here and now if you're always thinking about the future?
Thank you, Lucas, for this question. Well, I understand that you are skeptical and that you want to challenge me. I am ready to answer and explain to you how I see things. I do not believe that Irlmaier got everything right or that he was infallible. He was a human like everyone else who could make mistakes or could be misunderstood. However, I do believe that he had a genuine vision that showed him the future, although not in all the details or in a fixed sequence. He tried to put this vision into words, but he could not always describe or explain everything accurately. Sometimes he also inserted his own opinion or interpretation, which was not always correct. He sometimes said he was not sure, or that he was just speculating. So he did not predict everything wrong, or as vaguely as Julia claims. He predicted many things very clearly and specifically that happened exactly as he said or will happen. I truly believe that there will be a third world war and that we will all perish if we do not change and repent. This is not fear or paranoia, but a conviction and a warning. I'm not afraid of it because I know it has a purpose and that there is a plan. I also know that things will get better after the war and that there will be a new time of peace and faith. I live my life in the here and now, but I'm also prepared for the future. I try to be a good person and follow God's will. I also try to enlighten and help other people. I'm not a fanatic or a crank, but a realist and a believer.
Julia, you have heard what Michael said. He believes in Irlmaier because he thinks he had a genuine vision that showed him the future. He also believes that there will be a third world war and that we will all perish if we do not change and repent. He is not afraid of it because he knows it has a purpose and that there is a plan. He lives his life in the here and now, but he is also prepared for the future. What do you say to this? How do you view Irlmaier's vision and Michael's belief? Do you have no doubts or questions? And how do you live your life in the here and now if you're always thinking about the past?
Thank you, Lucas, for this question. I have listened very carefully to Michael's perspective, and I respect his beliefs. However, I view Irlmaier's visions critically. Even if he may have predicted some aspects of the future correctly, it appears to me that there were also many false predictions, or that some of his statements were interpreted or adjusted to fit. Visions and prophecies are always open to interpretation, and we must be careful in how we interpret them. I have doubts about whether Irlmaier truly possessed an extraordinary gift of seeing. It is important to remember that the future depends on numerous factors, and destiny is not set in stone. We can change our decisions and actions to shape a better future. That means we don't necessarily have to follow a predestined path as Irlmaier predicted. Regarding living in the here and now, I strive to live in a way based on empathy, reason, and hope. I believe in the power of humanity to come together in difficult times to find solutions and bring about positive changes. This does not mean we should ignore warnings from the past, but rather use them as lessons to improve and create a better future. Lucas, I hope this answer provides insight into my perspective, and I hope we can progress in this discussion. I believe in an open and respectful exchange of ideas, even when we disagree.
Thank you, Michael and Julia, for your candid and honest views on this controversial topic. It has become evident that Alois Irlmaier's prophecies elicit a wide range of reactions and raise many complex questions. We've gained an interesting insight today into the different perspectives people have on Alois Irlmaier and his prophecies. It's important to emphasize that we couldn't find all the answers in this discussion, but it has certainly led to a deeper understanding and respect for various viewpoints. We hope that this episode of Mystic Insights Unveiled has prompted you to reflect and inspired you to continue researching and formulating your own opinions. Remember, open and respectful exchange of views is the key to better understanding the world around us. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes of Mystic Insights Unveiled XCast by AlertChannel, where we will explore more fascinating topics. Until then, we wish you all the best and stay curious. Goodbye.
Goodbye until the next podcast.